Good afternoon. How are you? We're going to just go straight into some mediumship, actually. Is that all right with you guys? Yeah? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Chris.
Who's having you, Chris? Because we always forget. Hi. Thanks for having us.
Let's start again, sorry. The microphone was not on.
Hi.
How are you? Sorry about that. Already in the spirit world, not ready here. Sorry.
Yeah. We've come because we'd like to ask you about prayer.
Yeah.
And we feel a bit concerned about how to do it right.
Yeah.
And really we've been feeling that it's not working.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
could you guys give me a bit of background about yourselves?
Sure. My name is Anton, and I have quite a number of other men here with me.
Yeah. And you were President of England when we were there.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's when I first heard about you and heard you speak.
Yeah.
Myself and a number of others were sort of drawn to that discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in the spirit world for about how long? 60, 70 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't say I was a religious person on earth at all.
Yeah.
And
And what's been your experience in the spirit world since you've arrived? If you can sort of give me a brief summary. I know 70 years is a long time.
Yeah, well, a lifetime again, I guess.
Yeah.
It's been my life again.
Yeah.
And I think I had a fairly average experience in that when I arrived here, my wife had already passed and I was with her for a time, and we enjoyed a continuation of our life together for some time. And then we came to see certain lessons about the fact that just because we were together on earth didn't mean we should always be together.
Yeah.
We just met different people who educated us about that.
Yeah.
And so we still love each other, but we went our separate ways.
Yep.
And I've really been trying to figure out how to better my situation.
Yeah.
Because I'm not particularly happy.
Where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you were talking about things being boring today, I feel like it's just pretty dull where I am.
Pretty much similar life to on Earth, is it? Or even a bit more boring than that?
Probably more boring.
Yeah.
I don't engage with many things. I don't seem to find many things to do.
Yeah.
And I would like to do more things.
Yeah.
I'd like to have interests. I'd like to sort of... I think maybe the reason why I was drawn to your talk in England was that I've started to feel like there must be some kind of meaning to existence, but I don't understand what it is.
Yeah.
And I don't feel I've ever...
sort of had a life of meaning, with meaning.
No. And sort of answering the question, what's it all about? What's this all about?
Yeah.
Obviously, when I passed, it was quite shocking to know that I wasn't dead.
Yeah.
And
that was a surprise for you?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was. I thought that was it. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, you're a goner.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And so then I was like, oh, okay, well, things go on.
Yeah.
And it seemed... I mean, obviously it's different.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's different here. There's a different nature of things.
Yeah.
But largely, I felt it was much the same in terms of quality.
Yeah.
And also content,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
My life was fairly routine, and I just feel kind of drab and routine in everything. And now I think maybe I feel that about all of my 140 years was just kind of drab and routine.
Yeah.
But I didn't really think about that before.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you were on Earth, how did you focus upon living your life? How did you finish up living your life?
Well, I got a trade
Yeah.
when I finished school.
Yeah.
I finished my high school. I was in England.
Yeah.
I finished my sort of schooling early by
Yeah.
the standards of other people.
Yeah. And what trade?
I worked with timber and fencing and
Right.
sort of, so I don't know if you'd call it a trade, but
Yeah.
that's just the word I
Is that
used to know.
is that the job you did
Sort
for
of-
most of your life?
Yes, in a rural setting
Yeah.
with livestock and horses, and
Yeah.
I just learned how to deal with those things.
Yeah.
How to farm, how to fence, how to
Yeah.
ride.
Yeah.
That was my.
And is that because the family were farmers, or is it just something that you sort of went into because it was the easiest thing to go into?
It was my father worked in a factory, so
Right.
not, it wasn't and I never had land. I never was. That's why I called it a trade. I was never
Yeah.
the farmer.
Yeah.
I just worked.
You worked for them.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And I thought it was something I didn't want. My father said, "Don't work indoors. Don't inhale smoke. Don't." So
Yeah. I can understand your father saying that.
yeah. So I did that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I got married when
Yeah.
I was 20,
Yeah.
which was a little late, really,
For that period of
for
time.
my peers.
Yeah.
And had a long marriage.
Yeah.
I did the same job my whole life.
Yeah. Children.
Yes, 2 sons.
Yeah.
They grew and had their own lives, and yeah, and I suppose as I got older, my body didn't keep up. I
No,
retired.
As it would normally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Backs up after a while, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it did. You know.
Yeah.
And I had a garden and just very routine life.
Yeah.
It felt.
Yeah.
If I had to give you a flavour of my life, it was routines.
Yeah.
Everything was done by routine,
Yeah.
and I didn't think I was unhappy.
Yeah.
It's only really now that I think maybe there was more.
Yeah. It didn't give happiness much of a consideration, even really.
No,
Mm.
no,
Mm.
no, it wasn't something you sought after necessarily. You just lived because that's what you did.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, when you were drawn to the conversation that we had a few weeks ago in England, what was the thing drawing you there? Can you remember?
I think it was this question: is
Yeah.
there something
More.
more?
Yeah. More in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't really expect to get what I heard.
Yeah.
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 In that at first I felt it was the wrong place to be.
Yeah.
It seemed religious,
Yeah.
and I that's not my scene.
Mm.
There's a lot of that here,
Yeah.
but that's not my scene.
Yeah.
And
But you sort of also could see I don't really have a religious bone in my body, so
no, that's right. So I stayed, and I tried to get the sentiment of what you were saying,
yeah.
rather than get too caught up on the words of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I suppose it got down to this idea that I had at the end,
Yes.
that if I just prayed, maybe new light would come to my situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sort of physically and metaphorically.
Yeah.
New light would
Yeah.
come.
Yeah. Yeah. Both.
That was the sense I had. And so I decided I'm going to try and
Yeah. So you've been trying for a few weeks.
Yes.
3-4 weeks now, isn't it? Somewhere about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting anywhere.
No one getting anywhere. Yeah. So you feel a bit downhearted about it being a possibility, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess I feel like either it doesn't work or I'm doing it wrong.
Or?
And, you know, I've been tempted to think, well, this doesn't work.
Doesn't work, yeah.
And then just this morning, I had some people come and say, well, just come and talk to you about it.
Yeah, sure.
And because maybe I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah, okay. Well, well, I can categorically say you're doing it wrong, but I don't want to just leave it like that because I want to explain.
Yeah, and because I reckon I've been trying to do what you said.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I'm doing it wrong,
Then it's a bit confusing.
it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about that a bit, shall we? So if you sort of describe what you've been doing up until now.
So I guess, experimented.
Yeah.
That's something I heard you talk about,
Yes.
with the idea that there's a God.
Yes.
And that I don't have to believe in Jesus or Muhammad or Buddha or whatever.
Yeah.
That I don't need any of that. Just if there's a God, then all I need is just to pray to that God.
Mm-hmm.
So, and all I've got to do is ask
Mm-hmm.
ask for that connection,
Yeah.
ask for insight, ask for love,
Yeah.
just ask,
Yeah.
and something should happen.
Yeah. Okay. So, and nothing has.
Nothing
No,
happens.
so that's where it gets confusing, isn't it? And then,
Yeah.
and then you're sort of a temptation then, isn't it, to just go, oh, give up. Obviously it doesn't work and he's just, on some high horse of this or whatever.
Well, yeah, or, I listened yesterday
Yep.
about the idea of, I forget the words you used now, sincere.
Sincere longing.
Yeah, the longing.
Sincere longing.
Yes.
Yep.
And
we were trying yesterday, weren't we, to just sort of define what that is, and we struggled a bit there.
Yeah, and I really struggled to understand what that's all about.
Yeah, that's right. And this is the main problem. It is really what is the sincere longing and how does that get engaged? Like how do you...
Because also it's a lot of words, and I'm not a words man.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know what I mean by
Yeah,
that?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all good. I'm not really either. It just comes about with the territory of trying to teach others. Okay, so let's look at the whole idea of prayer, shall we? So, what have you been saying to God?
Kind of, God, here I am.
Yeah.
It's awkward, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's awkward.
Yeah, it is.
God, can you give me some insight here?
Yeah.
God,
Sort of,
what's it all about?
Can you help me out?
Yeah, what's it about? What's the meaning of everything?
Yeah.
How does this work?
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel, I don't feel very comfortable.
Yes, now, this is one thing I'd like to ask you about, is that while you're saying, God, can you sort of help me out, give me some insight, what's your feeling in the moment when you're saying that? Can you relate to that feeling? I think you know what it is. So
Well, awkward.
Yeah, uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but let's define the uncomfortable feeling a bit more. What's the discomfort about?
It feels like I'm trying to flex a muscle that I never
Have used before?
have used.
Yeah.
It also feels a bit like exposed. Is that a word?
Yes.
Is that the word for it?
Yeah. Like
and
taking a risk.
yeah. Well, yeah, I wouldn't have said that, but yeah,
Yeah.
sort of like that.
Sort of fearful in a way. Like a bit afraid of what the outcome's going to be.
Yeah, and a bit like, who am I
to put
sort
it
of-
on God. So if
yeah.
God exists, God.
well, and like, who am I to sort of approach the big guy? You know,
Yeah.
how does that? And
Did
also,
you believe
why
in God
would you-
while you're on earth? Not really.
Well,
You hadn't given it much thought,
no.
had you? Yeah.
No.
But you sort of did believe, didn't you?
yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't without church,
Yeah.
but also I wasn't really. I just felt like there was something there,
Yeah.
but I didn't really go for all the words and
Mumbo
stuff.
jumbo, yeah.
I just felt like when I went to church, like we went as a family,
Yeah.
I just thought
Yeah.
that was a good thing to do, so
Yeah.
we did it.
Yeah.
And when I was there, it was more like in the quiet times after a service, if everyone left and they were all out talking or what have you, I'd just sit and I just felt like, no, there's something good here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But that's as far as it sort of went.
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I never felt like it was about me.
Yeah, and there's a number of things here that are affecting there being a sincere desire, a sincere longing, that from God's perspective need to be addressed, right? So the first thing is that there is a definite feeling in you of feeling unworthy, as you said, to address the big guy, right? There's a sort of feeling like, what, like how is he going to be bothered with me? Like I'm just one person, just
And it doesn't seem like, I mean, sort of seems like I should be able to figure it out for
Yourself?
myself.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not a big cog in the wheel, you know.
Yeah.
So why
So why would
take
you be bothered
the
with
time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, I get it. Well, firstly, although you're not a big cog in the wheel, neither am I. We're both children of God. If God exists, we're both children, right?
Okay.
So you deserve as much attention as from your parent, God, as I do.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing to do with whether we're a big cog in the wheel or not. We're fundamentally exactly the same. We're both are children. We both are dependents in the sense that we are created beings. And we are both dependent on God if we want to receive love as well, because love can only come from God. So, you know, I can't, nobody else can give you that love except for God. So, in that regard, we're identical.
Okay.
And partly you've been educated in your childhood on earth to sort of believe that you're a servant of others or lesser than others. You worked for others all of your life. You fundamentally served them all of your life. And so you've sort of not given much consideration. You've been a humble man. You've not given much consideration to the fact that you're deserving of God's attention.
Yeah, and I don't want to big note myself or take up attention, you know?
Yeah, no, I get it.
I don't feel like I'm terribly like
A bad
a
person.
servant
Yeah, I
or,
understand.
you know, like a slave.
No.
But I also don't think that...
But the reality is you have sort of served other people all of your life.
Yeah.
Family,
yeah.
children,
Yeah.
wife.
I didn't see it like that.
Yeah. And so you sort of, this causes you to sort of believe, well, that's sort of my role in life, you know, like, and there's nothing more than that. You know, it makes you start to believe that it's almost like arrogance to want more than that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and don't you think that some people are sort of suited to different things? You know, I just thought I'm the kind of man who is suited to that life. And
Well,
other people are more suited to lead or to be special or to...
Well, true. There are some people who are more suited personality trait-wise, you know, to being in a leadership position, but from God's perspective, a leadership position doesn't mean more value.
Right.
And this is where you sort of treat that as if it's more value, but it's not. From God's perspective, what you did in your life has just as much value as what, you know, the Prime Minister of England has.
But, I mean, surely it's worth talking to him because he's got a lot more influence and power than I ever had.
Well, this is the other problem, is that the average person on earth, including yourself, hasn't realised that actually what is your power, because you've never really given that much consideration. And the reality actually is that God is able to gift every single person the same amount of power, because the power comes with the love. And so you could have easily been the Prime Minister of England. Does that make sense? Even with all of your current ways of thinking and everything, you could have easily been, maybe with different circumstances you would have been. And so
it's hard to imagine.
Hard to imagine, but for you to imagine, it's hard because of what how you've already lived your life. Does that make sense?
Right.
So for you it's hard to imagine, but from God's perspective, He sees you as exactly the same as anybody who you have honoured as famous. God feels the same about you as He does about them.
Okay.
And this is one thing that causes a desire to not be sincere, you see, because what we think is, when we start thinking, I don't really deserve something, then you're already stopping yourself from asking. Do you understand?
So, but I feel like I'm asking.
Well, you're intellectually in your mind asking, but the emotion is saying, I don't really deserve a response.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And so, remember we talked yesterday how the emotion is really the asking.
Yeah.
So in your mind you're saying, I'm asking, but in your feelings you're saying, well, I don't know if I really deserve anything from God anyway. So now you're not really sincerely asking. Like, it's not, you don't really want it in your heart, you see what I'm saying? So in your head you're thinking it's a great idea, or maybe it's an idea I should try. But in your heart it's sort of going like, well, I don't know if I deserve it. Yeah.
And honest, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you see that sort of taints the longing? Like it makes you feel like, you know, I feel like my desire for it is bad.
Yeah.
Do you see?
Yeah. And on it, I don't even know, you know, I don't need some big glory relationship with God.
Well, that's not the purpose of it anyway.
Right.
Yeah. The purpose of it is to, God's love brings a lot of benefits. And one of the benefits is your education. It also gives you light about truth, you know, so one of the benefits is finding more truth about how the spirit world works and everything. It's a lot faster if you do it with God. So, you know, there's a lot of benefits to the relationship. And if the only reason why you were looking for God's love was to big note yourself, you know, then you wouldn't receive it anyway.
No. I think it would be good to sort of figure out this what's it all about question.
Yeah, and God can tell you those things.
Yeah.
What is it about?
Yeah. Okay.
So what we're saying so far is that when it comes to the longing, your longing isn't as strong as it needs to be because you feel unworthy of receiving. You understand? So that's one major reason why you haven't received anything at this point. Does that make sense?
It does.
So what I thought we might do is just address that a bit first, if we can.
Okay.
So you know this feeling that you have of wanting to know more, because that is something that you are quite strongly now attracted to, isn't it?
Yes.
And you can feel inside of yourself the feeling, I do want to actually know more, even though I sort of feel unworthy of having the relationship with God.
Yes.
You also...
That's how I feel. I feel like I'd like to figure it out.
Yeah, you'd like someone to tell you.
Yes.
Just not God.
That's right.
Someone else.
That's it.
Would be better, is sort of how you feel, right? Yeah, so, and one reason why you won't have a chat with me is because I'm not God, so you feel a bit more comfortable having a chat with me about it. So what I'd like to do though is sort of just introduce you to the idea of the concept that like God is interested in you knowing more truth. He's interested in every child knowing more truth. You know, when you have your boys,
Yes.
you want to educate them, don't you, as well as you can.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want to give them as much of a head start in life as you can give them.
Yes.
And that's what you tried to do, wasn't it? You tried to help them with their education,
Yes.
tried to help them with their general life education too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like not just their education,
Yeah.
but also their life, like how to live a life type of thing. And you wanted to give them this education. Well, God feels the same way about you. He wants to give you the things you need, the tools you need, the knowledge you need to live a better life, a happier life.
Okay.
It's just like you would for your child, right?
Yeah.
So if you can just flip it over in your mind a bit and say, right, I'm that child. You know, I'm my boys.
Right.
And God's like me trying to give me some education, trying to help me out in my life, trying to help me become a happier person sooner, you know, to enjoy my existence. So if you sort of think of yourself as the son,
Mm-hmm.
and
It just seems, you know, I had two sons.
yeah,
But who am I to God really? It seems like if I'm God's son and you're God's son and everybody's God's child, it's a lot, isn't
that's
it?
right. Yeah, God has a lot of children. Yeah. I know that sounds funny, but it's true. Like you know, billions of children.
And then how come I never have
Felt that.
felt that, or how come I never felt God? Did I?
Well, see, there's a lot of reasons for that. If you look at your childhood, fundamentally, what happens as a child when you're growing up in a family is you treat your parents as your parents. You know, your mum and dad that gave birth to you.
Yeah.
You treat them as your parents. You're not educated by those parents to treat God as your parent. You're educated to treat them as your parent.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so naturally, it's hard sometimes to contemplate. Oh, I'm still the son, but of a bigger parent. You know, like the creator of the universe parent. You know,
Yeah,
and which is an amazing concept if you think about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
In a way,
Yeah.
because we've only ever viewed ourselves as a child of our mum and dad, our physical mum and dad, and we frequently don't think about what am I really beyond that.
Mm.
You
Mm-hmm.
see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is that every single one of our souls, because your body and your spirit body that you're living in now, you can see your own spirit body, and you know you lost your physical one now, it's gone,
Yeah.
and you know that was buried. And those two bodies were created by the parents that you have on earth just by them having sex, right?
Yeah.
But the soul that is all the feelings and the experience and the memories and all of those things, that's all a part of your soul, and that was independently created by God. So you are directly a child of God. Like God actually created you the same way as your parents created your bodies, right? God created you,
Mm-hmm.
your soul,
Mm-hmm.
in the same sort of metaphorical manner, you could say. And so you are directly like a child of God. But see, most of us are not educated this way on earth. Even when we go to religious faiths, we're not educated this way. And so, and in fact, whenever the parent is referred to on earth, it's like honour your parents, and you're referring to your mum and dad on earth, right? There's no concept even hardly that God is your parent who you can honour or anything like that. And so you end up growing up with this sort of view that, well a lack of, even just a lack of awareness that God is your dad and your mum.
Yeah.
You know? And so because of that, there is also then no connection with the idea that you can have a relationship with your dad and mum.
Mm-hmm.
You know, God being your dad and mum. And so that's pretty natural. Most people on earth experience that. Yeah.
Mm. And it seems like, well, we do. what I heard about God on earth
Yep.
was a lot of preaching,
Yeah, like,
and so I felt
and also
like
a lot of it not very.
yeah, and I felt like it's like you got to go through that passageway, through that wall to get to God.
Yeah.
You know, through that
Sort of.
services and
Yeah.
singing and those things.
Yeah, what a pain in the neck, eh?
Well, I mean, it just seemed like not my thing.
Well, I don't know if it's anybody's thing, to be honest. Like, it certainly isn't my thing either. So, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't mean that disrespectfully.
Nor
just,
do I.
Yeah.
Nor do I. I just sort of feel like, well, and particularly the way they do it, because there's a whole lot of fakery in it, it seems to me, as well. You know, isn't there? Like, where everybody's talking about how great God is, but they don't really feel God, and they don't really see themselves as God's child. You know?
I suppose I didn't see that. I just felt left out of it. Like that's not.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
interesting if you go and ask all of your friends that were there, they probably feel exactly the same way you did. They just all portray themselves as feeling different, you know, and it's very rare. Even the minister, if you went to your minister, it was an Anglican church, I gather, and you went to the minister, he probably feels the same way too, you know, but, you know, his job is to try and inspire everybody else, and so that's what he tries to do, his job, rather than sort of having a feeling himself, you know, for it. If he had a feeling for it himself, then he might have taught you differently. Because he might have taught you, I'm God's child, you're God's child. We can have a direct connection with God.
Yeah, it doesn't feel equal. Like it didn't feel like equal.
Yeah.
I felt like I am someone who just needed to observe, like to
The
respect,
commandments.
and yes, and observe the good lifestyle,
Yep.
but not this direct thing. This
Yeah.
is, and you're right. I can tell. I feel.
Sort
Why
of like,
me?
Why, yeah. Yeah.
Well, not me. You know that sort of thing.
Almost like undeserving.
Yeah.
But also even not even contemplated that it's a possibility, right? So it's hard to feel you deserve something when you haven't even contemplated it as a possibility, isn't it? So yeah, it's,
So is that the whole? That's the whole reason why it's not working.
was one of the reasons.
Right.
Yeah, but it's the first reason we want to start with.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because if you can just for the moment go, okay, let's just flip that over in the way I'm thinking about it, my psychology, if you like. Let's flip that over and go, okay, I'm the son. God's my dad. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Dad, I would like to know if you exist and if you want the relationship with me, because I feel like I don't deserve it. Right? So Dad, God, Dad, do you feel I deserve having a relationship with you? You know, and do you want to have one with me?
That's different.
Can you feel that? Yeah. So, can you feel firstly your desire changed in that? Can you see that?
Yeah.
And now, can you feel what it means to be sincere about that now? Now you're starting to feel sincerity and longing, aren't you? I want you to know, I want to know, Dad, whether you want to love me or not.
Yeah, I didn't know that that's what that is.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a wordsman,
Yeah?
Yeah.
I get it.
so when I said it's a sincere longing,
Yeah.
just think it's a different approach
Yeah.
than I had.
Yeah.
I felt like I had to do it all a certain way.
Well, the way you've been taught, partially.
Yeah, and like with more,
Formalism.
yeah, that's it.
And it's one of the things we want to talk to our audience about today, because this whole formal thing with God that people have is very damaging to their relationship with God. Because, like, I've called Dad my dad, God, my dad, all my life. Like, that's how I referred to God, my dad, right? And so, and the same goes Mum. I feel the same, like Mum's God as well, my mum, my mum and dad. And when I even look at my earthly mum and dads, because I've had two now, you know, the ones that I had years ago and then ones now, And, I don't see them as my mum and dad. I just see them as my brothers and sisters, actually. Because that's what they are. They are children of God too. Yeah. But notice, because that sort of change has occurred, and now you can ask Dad, does he want to love you? What did you feel from Dad?
It's a lot of kindness.
Yeah. That's your first experience of God's love. Wonderful, eh? It's sort of sad too, in a way.
Yeah.
You can sort of see sad because it sort of brings up things, doesn't it? Yeah. And in some ways you've been a bit detuned from how you felt about things for a long time, so when things get brought up, it's a bit confronting too, isn't it? And you weren't really prepared for that. Can you see?
No.
Yeah. But I was, so we can, that's a normal experience every time, actually, that I have when looking into God. So, yeah, you find the same.
Thank you. I feel like I've taken enough of your time.
No, you've not taken enough of my time yet. There's a few things I'd like to say about it. Is that all right with you before you leave?
Yeah.
Is that right? I know you feel a bit emotional now.
Yeah.
I get that. And also some of the others in your group have tried the same thing,
Yeah.
And I've had the same experience,
Yeah.
So now you know how to pray.
Yeah, it's really different to what we understood from when you talked about it.
And it's quite simple though, isn't it? In a way.
Yeah, almost too simple.
Yeah.
It just seems like there should be more to it.
Yeah, like some kind of honour or respect thing or formal thing or,
certain words.
now we've got to go and have a celebration, whatever. But it doesn't work like that. God's not into all those things. God's just interested in having a relationship with you and sharing her love with you. And then watching the joy, like you would if with your own son or daughter, watching enjoy what you do with that. Yeah?
It just brings up all kinds of, just seems like a lot of attention,
Yeah, and this is something you're going to struggle with for a bit because you almost think you don't deserve that amount of attention.
Yeah.
If you think of your mum and dad on earth, those two, you didn't get a lot of attention there either, did you?
Well, they were busy.
They were busy with their lives. It was a hard life back then, wasn't it? Talking 150 years ago, your childhood, 140 years ago. And back then, things were hard and harsh. You want to give Mary a pinky so she can find those. So we do that. Mary can have a blow. I'll just stand. Yeah, so, you can understand, given the circumstances of your upbringing, that hardly any tension you had, even all the way through your childhood, you sort of left to your own devices a lot.
Yeah.
And this is why also you become very self-reliant in your life, because what else could you do? You had to be.
Yeah.
But if you can just bear in mind for a moment that God wants to provide things to you, give you gifts. And I know the hardest thing you're going to find for yourself is that you deserve receiving them. Does that make sense? Yeah. That's something that you're not used to doing. But don't stop that. Don't let that stop you from asking. Makes sense?
Already, it just, I guess it feels very generous.
Generous, yeah. And this
like
is
I didn't
hardly feel anything.
Yeah.
It is generous. But God's generous. That's a part of God's nature. God's generosity exceeds any human generosity. And this is what we were saying yesterday. How God's generous, God's merciful, God's honest, God's truthful, God's love, and all of those things are so large that most humans have no concept really of what it's like. But don't let the feeling that you're unworthy of this attention stop you from seeking some attention and seeking some of this guidance from God, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. I just want to introduce you to some friends that can help out too. Is that all right with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's do that. That kind too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
So you know how before you were sort of feeling you had to discover everything alone.
Yeah.
Now remember always you got God first, who you can ask things of. And particularly even truth, you can ask God to tell the truth about things, you know. You can ask questions of all the things you pondered, you know. Like, are you meant to be with your wife for the rest of your life? You know, that's a question you've sort of pondered recently, yes.
Yeah.
So you can ask God, what does God feel about that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And get an answer. But then you can also ask for God for more love so you can understand things better. And the love sort of transforms your soul a bit. You can feel already that you're a bit softer. One other thing I'd like to do is get you to have a look at your surroundings. It's different, yeah. Before, your surroundings in comparison were pretty harsh, weren't they?
Yeah.
It's sort of like they matched your stoicism, as though you could say. They matched your disconnect from emotion. Now, what are you noticing? There's things you can see in your environment, isn't there, that sort of now match the fact that you're now softer with your feelings, right?
Right.
Yeah. Colours.
Yeah.
In particular, more green. Yeah.
Yeah.
So change.
Yeah.
And this is the thing to look forward to at last, some change,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the thing to look forward to. This is the beautiful thing about receiving God's love is it's constant change, and each new change feels better. And these are some of the advantages of having that relationship. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you do deserve to have God's love. You know, obviously, otherwise God wouldn't give it, right?
Very overwhelming. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for helping.
It's my pleasure.
It's just different to what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. So the reason why I've asked these other spirits to come to you too is just to help you. There will be other things that come up, you know, like, you know, how I identified for you this issue of not feeling worthy of receiving from God because God's the big guy, right?
Yeah.
And they'll be able to help whenever you get a bit stuck. They'll be able to say, well, have you looked at this area?
Right.
Have you looked at that area? And they'll help you work through the different areas, yeah?
Yeah.
And that will also then, by helping you work through the area, you'll be able to go, oh, now I'm unstuck again, you know, I didn't feel about that, you know, I didn't know about that before. So always remember that help comes from outside of yourself. You can't always do it by yourself. You know, you need the assistance of someone who knows more.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to ask them for help either.
Yeah, okay.
Because you're very apt to not bother them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they like being bothered when it comes to helping people. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's just so much kindness.
Yeah. Yeah. And mostly from God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a part of His love.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks for coming forward, Anton. And thanks for not giving up for that month of prayer. And instead asking some more questions. That's a good thing.
I'm really glad I did it.
Yeah.
I'm really glad.
Yeah. That's it.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Okay, does anyone want to ask any questions about Anton, his life? Keep your hand up, so.
Hello. So I'm not exactly sure what the question is per se, apart from I'm curious about the emotions that drive the feeling of not wanting to bother people to ask for help, because I think that's something that I struggle with quite a lot.
Certainly, yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because we we often don't know that we feel certain ways that we actually feel. So I think you can see with the discussion with Anton, he didn't really know that he was sort of like not really wanting to bother anybody. And like you said, not really wanting to bother the big guy either, right? And so it took me a bit of discussion with him for him to see that actually, yeah, that was true. Right? It took him a while to see it. And this is a common thing with people that have been sort of treated in a lowly manner on earth. And when you're treated in a lowly manner on earth, and usually it begins in your childhood where mum and dad are so busy, they've got a lot of, mums and dads generally on earth, particularly when you're talking about his generation, they was just so busy making ends meet, get enough money together to buy food for their kids and house their kids and look after their kids, and to just look after themselves. And, as you know, back then England was a fairly, difficult place to live, cold all the time, a lot of the time, cold, not easy to warm up or get jobs done, particularly in the winter. And so, mums and dads struggle to even connect with their children at all. And so a lot of children grow up in this sort of environment, and this is the environment I grew up in this life, where mums and dads sort of know you're there, but they've got too much going on themselves to notice what you're feeling or to even get you to believe your feelings are of value. And
they don't know what they're feeling either, presumably. They have no idea.
Exactly. They've got no idea because they're just struggling with life, struggling to put a meal on the table. And so a lot of people in poor countries in particular, or in poor situations, have been in this environment, grown up in this environment. So for me, my mum and dad lived in a tin shed for the first 5 years of my life. It had a dirt floor. It had one bedroom. It was what was called a Nissen hut. It was not lined. We lived right next to a fruit block. My mum and dad struggled to just put food on the table, to be frank.
Yeah.
And so you can understand under those circumstances that they don't have any time left or any education of their own left to educate their child that their child has value, that their child has worth. And so after that experience, you sort of start feeling, well, you're lower than everyone else, or not even. You don't even think that way. You just sort of feel like that. Why would I bother with anybody with me? Why would anybody be bothered with me?
It feels like it feeds into that. There's a mention of being a cog in the machine, and this idea of like the system we talked about earlier, and just a sense of like, well, this is my lot. I've got to make do. I've got to get on with it.
That's right.
If you complain, you get attacked.
Yes,
crack on.
It's almost like my role has been predetermined by others,
right,
in life.
Yeah, and if you try and break out of it, there's so much unhappiness from other people that
frequently. But even with my parents, every time I try to break out of it, they neither rewarded me nor honoured me or respected me or attacked me. They didn't do either. They just didn't even think I could. And they never even gave it any consideration. So, a lot of times what happens to us is a direct result of the lack of education of the prior generation, rather than some insistent attack,
Okay.
Now, some people have experienced attack directly, but a lot of people in the world haven't really experienced attack. It's just been more, we don't know what to do.
Right.
And we're doing our best type of feeling of the parents,
Yeah.
But the effect on the child is actually quite substantial. The child now, as an adult, believes that it just needs to fit in. It just needs to conform. It just needs to, it's not got any particular purpose other than just having children and, continuing the lineage sort of thing. It's not, there's no thought that actually a God would be interested in them. Because why would God be interested in me? I'm just a normal person. You know, there's this concept, in fact, that God's only interested in special people.
Yeah.
And this is being promoted by faith.
Is this how we end up being so narcissistic as well at this day and age? And, you know, if life was so difficult and people were struggling to put food on the table and now we have more time on our hands, but actually we're wasting that time being more self-involved, is that why?
I don't recommend self-involvement. Self-involvement or narcissism obviously is a bad trait, but there's a difference between self-involvement and acknowledgement of the value of self. And very few people understand the difference.
Yeah.
Right? Most people sort of believe that you either become self-involved because you have to, you know, that's the way you make the way in life because no one else is going to look after you, so you become self-involved. Or they become sort of like Anton did, with this is my lot in life, I'll just do what I do, that's what I've been educated to do, and not give it too much consideration that actually God's interested in you and God's interested in, you know, making your life as happy as possible. Most people don't consider that.
Yeah, I think that's right. That's Anton's experience. But I also think, Mikey, you have to be careful about telling yourself you don't want to bother people when the real feeling is, I don't want to hear anything that might challenge me from other people. Yeah.
So I'm not saying that your feelings are the same as Anton.
Okay.
I'm saying that Anton's feelings are very common, but they're certainly not your feelings.
Okay. Thanks.
In fact, your feelings are almost the opposite of Anton's.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this causes you to expect things
Right.
that God is not going to give you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then to get upset when He doesn't.
Yeah.
And also when it's a very important point about not seeking. You know, Anton didn't seek because he sort of felt, well, that's not my lot in life to be someone who receives a lot. But sometimes we don't seek because we don't want truth. We want to define our own reality rather than have God's reality. So there's a number of reasons why we don't seek.
And Anton wasn't like that, maybe. Anton already had lived 140 years of life feeling just like it's quite boring. And he didn't know what to do. It wasn't that he already knew what to do and he didn't want anybody else telling him that he couldn't. It was that he didn't even know what to do. He hadn't even contemplated the idea that God would even be interested. Right? This is very different from your own feelings. You feel God should be interested, right? But when he's not responding to your demands, you're then feeling, well, what's going on? You know, and you're very, very prone to then wanting spirits to respond to your demands.
Yeah.
Right? You'd want somebody to respond, and God's not, so you want somebody else to respond instead. But Anton's not in that state. He's in a lot different state to that. I would say a much more lowly and humble state than that. Yeah. Makes sense?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. Come down to the front maybe, and then we'll work our way back.
It's related to this not wanting to ask too much, but also like sometimes I get a feeling like don't be too needy.
Yeah.
Like want to. Like, is it possible to be too desirous for God? Like a parent, like, all right, stop, get enough now, go away.
Yeah. Don't confuse neediness with desire. So yes, any neediness is too needy. Does that make sense?
The line's kind of blurred.
Yeah. Most people don't understand the difference between desire and need. Yeah. But let me sort of maybe try to show you the difference for a bit. Right? So fundamentally, I might just grab those Where
Are
do
they-
we go? Oh, there they are. Okay, fundamentally, if we compare need and desire, right? What's you could say the hallmarks or the characteristics, the attributes of need versus desire? What do you reckon?
If you don't get a need, you'll be upset or angry.
Okay, so with need, there is really a demand, and when the demand is not met, it results in, or results in, you said bad feelings, results in, what do you mean by bad feelings? Like, I'm not worth it. I'm not worth it. In other words, it's still an angry rage, isn't it? Hopeless, yeah, hopeless. All right, so need results in that. What does desire result in?
Like, you're happy if you get it, but if you don't get it, it's no problem.
Well, when you say there's no problem,
Well, yeah, maybe just.
a person with desire knows that when they don't get what they desire, it's because their desire was a problem. The way you conceive God is very negatively at the moment, most of you, right? You sort of conceive God as a person who doesn't want to give you gifts.
Or you got to earn it anyway.
You got to earn it. You got to be good to get it. In the Paget messages, you'll see there are some messages that talk about that. This whole concept of moral goodness is the way you get God to recognise you. Right? Not true. Right? So, but the concept most of us have is, I earn it and then I get it. You understand? Which is actually, again, on this column, really, it's not desire yet, right? Because when you recognise something as a gift, you realise you can't earn it. Like, most of you are taught from childhood, 2 years old. Daddy and Mummy say to you, Christmas time, if you've been a good girl, you'll get a good gift from Santa, right? But if you've been a naughty girl, I'm not sure whether Santa's going to give you anything now, right? Isn't that true? Yeah, and many of you have been brought up in that kind of household where we believe in Christmas and everything. I wasn't, but many of you have been. And so you see this pattern coming out all the time where we believe that we earned the gift. So therefore, in our own psyche, we're not really treating anything as a gift. We're treating it as, well, I earned it and I deserve it as my payment for what I sacrificed in order to earn it. That's how we sort of see it. Right? That's not desire either. Right? So a person who has desire knows that if I'm not receiving from God, it's because my desire is flawed. Not for any other reason, because God wants to give you what you desire as long as it's harmonious with love. Right? He wants to give you gifts. He's a parent who cares about every child and wants to make every child happy. Right? So God's not the kind of parent who goes, well, you're not as good as your brother. So unless you're like your brother, you're not getting what your brother gets. It's not like that either. God's desirous of giving you the same gifts as your brother. I'm your brother. God wants to give you the same gifts that God's given me. Right? So we know then that if I am not receiving the things that I desire, then there's something wrong with my desire. Either my desire is not harmonious with love, right? Or I don't have a desire at all. I instead have a need. So how many of you would like to have your soulmate in your life? Absolute rubbish. Like, you're lying to yourselves. When you have a pure desire to have your soulmate in your life, you're going to have them in your life. And I'm not saying that frivolously either. It's a fact. You've got to have a pure desire to have your soulmate in your life. To have your soulmate in your life. Huh? So, but most of you have just expressed your need.
Neediness. That's kind of neediness, that column, isn't it?
Yeah. Your neediness is saying, I would really like a soulmate in my life. Why? Why do you want your soulmate in your life at the moment? For many of you, it's because you're lonely. Right? Well, that's an injury. So that's not a good ways of why God should show you who your soulmate is. What a terrible injury to perpetrate against the other half of yourself. That you're lonely and they're going to make your loneliness go away. Like, don't you want to be more than that in a relationship where you're not lonely and you just want to give gifts? Wouldn't that be better? Well, it'd certainly be more loving, wouldn't it? But most of us go, but I'm lonely. Where's my soulmate? And many of us, when we talk about soulmates, go, I don't know about this soulmate crap, right? Because I want my soulmate for the last 40 years, and I still don't have them. No, you've been needy for your soulmate for 40 years, and not even for your soulmate. It's actually been for someone who just meets your addictions. You know, if you were desirous of your soulmate, you would have met them by now. The law works perfectly. And this is the thing we don't understand about God either, is the laws that God created work perfectly, giving us the very thing that we actually desire in our heart. So let's look at that. Every relationship I've had up to now has been very heartbreaking. What does that tell me? It tells me that I've got a lot of sadness about relationships to feel, and I keep attracting a heartbreaking relationship in order to feel them. It means that I've not healed my childhood, quite obviously. Because once I do, I won't find a relationship heartbreaking anymore. And then you say, every relationship. Well, why have I had more than one? In the first century, I only had one. And I never had a relationship until I had one. I was completely knew that the other half of me was out there somewhere, and that's the one I want a relationship with. And I was prepared. I waited and waited and waited. And when I say waited, I didn't wait. I engaged my passions, my desires. I got to know myself. I got to figure myself out. I got to be a more loving person. I wanted to bring gifts into our relationship. I wanted to give Mary the gift of myself in a most perfect state I could. Does that make sense? Yeah? Where I'm interested in her, desirous of her, longing for her but not demanding of her. Right? I want to be that person that I would like her to be. That's ethical, isn't it? So that's what I decided. I am going to become and be the person God created me to be. I'm going to get to know who that is. I'm going to be that person. It was after I was that person that I met Mary. In the first century. And now. Yeah, I made the same decision now. Before I met Mary. Probably 10, nearly 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 years before I met Mary. Made that decision. A person who loves desires to give the gift of their love, not to receive it from others. Receiving it from others is just like, well, if they want to give it, then that'd be lovely. It's just lovely. When people want to love you, it's beautiful. But if I demand it, no longer am I seeing it as love anymore. I'm demanding it, and therefore I'm in a state where I'm no longer truly desirous of love. I'm now desirous of addictions being met, my demands being met. Right? This is a fundamental principle of love, guys, to come to grasp and understand. So, here I am in my neediness, which is really my demand. When it's met, I go, oh, I'm in love with this person. Right? When it's not met, what a bastard. You know what I mean? That's the way we think, frequently, isn't it? And so we're fundamentally not seeing that a person giving us their love is a gift and not something that I can on any level demand or expect. It is something that is it's their heart being expressed for me, which needs to come from their heart without any manipulation from me. Right? And so there's a big difference between desire, which does not demand. So it's not demanding, you could say. So it's not that. Right? And it's not that when it's not met. It doesn't feel hopeless or rage when it's not met. Not that. So what is it? We still haven't said what it is. Can you see, sometimes it's easier to talk about what it isn't than what it is. Well, I wouldn't call it hope, no. So hope was mentioned? No. Hope is a very pointless emotion. I'm sure many of you have realised that by now. Hope is a pointless emotion. And the reason why hope is a pointless emotion is because you can hope for things that are not real. And you're never going to have them. So, if you hope that one day you're going to be able to walk through walls in your physical body, it's never going to happen. So your hope is always not going to be fulfilled. If you hope that one day you'll be able to breathe like 10 kilometres underwater, I'm sorry, but your hope's never going to be fulfilled. In your spirit body, you can fulfill that hope, but not in the physical one. It's impossible. You'll be crushed to death at that depth in the water by the atmosphere and pressure. It's not going to ever be fulfilled. You will exceed your design limit, so it's impossible to fulfill it. So be careful of hope, because hope causes you to hope for things that are not real. You firstly have to determine what is real, and then you can desire them. So we still haven't worked out what desire is. No, microphone, thank you. Yeah. Otherwise we don't hear anything.
Is it like faith that it will happen?
Well, certainly desire and faith are very intertwined, aren't they? Faith, you can say in a way, desire is the expression of your faith. What you have faith in for your future, you will desire and you will work towards it. Does that make sense? So you have to sort of believe that it's possible before you'll exercise desire to achieve it. So the two are very linked with each other, but they're not the same thing. One is the working out what is possible, which is the faith, the possibilities for my future. When you see the possibilities as a reality, now that'll motivate your desire, right? So faith is the seeing the future possibilities as a current reality. And then once you have that kind of faith, you will be motivated to exercise desire to achieve that one way or the other. So we still haven't defined desire.
Can anyone help? Yeah, if we come
Yep.
down to Daniela here. Because this is the guts of prayer, isn't it? Desire.
Yeah.
So
Desire almost gives joy right away, like just seeing the thing that's desired. It has
Well, now
this
we're
whole
talking
feeling,
about desire fulfilled.
but there is some joy in desiring. It's some positive already, like.
Well, certainly there can be joy in desire, but desire isn't joy.
Okay.
It's a completely different quality. You think of Anton for a moment, who we just talked to. Initially, he was saying he was trying to pray, he was using his mind, he was struggling, he was asking God, look, big guy, if you exist, can you help me out? That kind of thing. And he was being quite sincere in his own mind about that. But what was lacking?
Direction.
No?
if we maybe go next year maybe.
Maybe humility.
True, but not. He was a pretty humble guy. He was pretty open to having the experience when the experience began. So he's pretty humble. So I don't know if it's just that. If we go behind. Maybe go next week. Yeah.
I would say seeking.
All right. So there was a seeking, but in terms of Anton, what caused him to seek? See, before then he was not. He didn't feel like he deserved to have anything from God, did he? What caused him to seek for it? Remember, I sort of flipped it over on him and said, imagine now you're the son and you've got a dad who can give you things and who wants to give you things and wants to educate you.
I would say it's realizing that something is missing.
So he realised something was missing, and then what happened?
And instead of to long for it or to seek it.
Yeah?
If we
Yeah.
maybe go to Eric next year.
Yeah.
He was open to receive it.
He became open, but that's a part, his desire caused him to be open. So that's an effect of desire.
If we pass behind you, Eric.
Wanting, believing, and seeking combine.
What was that, sorry? Wanting?
Wanting, believing that it might happen, and seeking for
Believing
direction.
and seeking.
Yeah. Well, remember yesterday we did write down seeking in the longing section, didn't we? We did write that word down as a part of longing, is seeking for something. But seeking is very different than demanding it, isn't it? Seeking is like, what do you do when you seek? So if I said, out the backyard over there, behind the auditorium, there's $1 million in gold buried. If any of you believed me, because you'd have to first believe me, wouldn't you? But once you believed me and you thought, maybe it is there, what would you do? I bet you anything you like, many of you would be out there with your hands and knees and digging it with your hands in the soil, and then when that didn't work, you'd be rushing off to the nearest shop to buy spades and shovels, and those of you a bit more clever, maybe an excavator, and then you'd be out the back digging up the whole yard, wouldn't you? To the whole place would be destroyed by that until you found that thing. Is that not true?
So it's putting an effort in it and accepting directions and help.
Sorry, I didn't really.
Putting effort into it and
Yes.
accepting direction to help.
Yes, but the effort is driven by what? Firstly, faith, that it's real, the thing is real, that has to be a part of it. So we said faith is linked to desire, certainly, but the faith has to be strong enough to drive you into action. So desire is the active force of your soul to achieve. Do you understand? To get something, to obtain something.
So first of all, you have to want it.
Well, there's a number of things that have to happen before desire can be created. You have to first want it. In other words, you have to have faith that it's even possible. But once you have faith that something is possible, and you really, really believe in your whole being it's possible, you will then take an action to obtain. That's desire, the action to obtain. Now, the beautiful thing about desire is that it opens up your heart to then obtain. So it opens your heart to seeking, but it also opens your heart to being sensitive to, when you get it, the rewarding feeling of having obtained it.
It's like, you guys remember high school, don't you? A lot of people were very annoyed in high school, weren't they? You know, and if you sat in maths class in high school, how many people were actually paying attention? You know, a lot of people were just like, when is this over? How many of them learnt very much maths? Hardly any. And then, I don't know if you were ever in a class with someone who loved maths. They would be asking questions, trying it out, and then you can feel...
And you'd go, shut up, and other people would.
Tease them.
Yeah.
But that person knew when they got it. When they solved that sum, they're like, yes, I got it, you know.
There's the completion of the achievement, or the completion of what you've obtained.
So, and there's that sensitivity you were talking about when you obtain it.
How good is that?
Yeah.
That's when you
It's
get
like
the joy.
Wow, oh, you know. So that whole action of the seeking and the taking action to obtain, the asking, staying engaged, all of those things, and then you feel it when you receive it.
Yeah. So can you see with the discussion I had with Anton, firstly what I was trying to do is build his faith that he was worthy to receive it, right? But then I also, by flipping over him being the child, I changed his mind about what his role was. Because he's always viewed himself in a parental role. You understand what I mean by that? He's always viewed himself, he's either looking after himself or he's looking after his kids. In other words, he's always seen himself in a parental role. He's always seen himself as the person doing the providing, right? Not as the person who could seek something outside, you know, and somebody else provide. He didn't see that. This is all things, the discussion helps him have some faith. Once the faith begins to be expressed, you know, when I talked about God being daddy, and most of you don't think of God being daddy or mummy. You think of God being God. God. Whatever that is, right? Some big monster, God, is really how many of you see God. Right? Very hard to then develop faith or even want that monster to be a part of your own life when you see God this way. But when you start seeing God as your older father, mother, who can guide you, help you, assist you, educate you, then you start to sort of see, well, all I need to do is express the desire. The desire is driven by the faith that God will provide what I desire as long as that desire is pure, as long as it's harmonious with love and truth. And as long as that desire is harmonious with God's other principles, God's laws, I will receive. Right? And once you develop that kind of faith, and that faith at the beginning is very hard because you have no concept that is even real initially. But after you develop the faith and you receive, so now that Anton has received once, should we ask him to come back and see what he feels about it now? Yeah. You want to do that? Because he had a conversation with some friends and felt some feelings now. So let's do that. Love to have you back. Sorry to bother you again. Now we're bothering you. And just for the sake of our audience here, Anton, I would like you to sort of describe what you felt like when you received the thing, when you received love.
overwhelmed, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you felt overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Uh,
Surprised in many ways
yeah,
about the nature of the love.
yeah, that it was so kind
Yeah.
and considerate of you.
And personal.
Yeah,
And that it was so there was just a lot of gentleness
yeah,
involved.
yeah.
And also that it was very personal.
Interested in
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. I felt very loved, not just because of just being loved. I felt me inside was being loved. It was very personal
Yeah.
to me. It wasn't. It was.
So it's sort of your nature and your personality being loved, not
Yeah.
just the being you that tried hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
The knowledge of me. There was knowledge of me in
Yeah.
love.
Yeah,
Even in my sin, there was knowledge of that also.
yeah, yeah. And now that you compare what you had before when we were praying and not receiving, can you feel the difference between that and desire? So when we had that conversation about God being your dad,
Yeah. It felt a lot more, well, similar to what you were saying, that I needed to be a child in that I could be a child.
yeah,
Gave me permission to sort of
to no
not,
longer be the parent looking after other people all the time.
yes, and to not have to understand everything before I did something,
Yeah,
before I asked.
yeah,
And to not have to get it right by some sort of standard.
yeah,
I just had to open my heart and ask.
yeah.
With it's
And it was really, wasn't it, this feeling that you had that you wanted a daddy who was interested in you?
yeah, but not in a needy
No,
way.
not in any way. You just wanted to know whether daddy was interested in you.
Yes, I don't know if I wanted a daddy who was interested in me. I wanted to know if there was
A daddy who was interested in me. Yeah. Yeah. But that began with the concept that maybe there is a dad who's
Yes.
interested in you.
Yes.
And this is what we're talking about with the group here is faith is like the concept that you then start believing might be possible to the point where you're willing to then exercise a desire to take action to lead you to that possibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 And it was quite simple, a lot more simple than I thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, and I feel having felt that feeling of what that more, I guess, like you said, I felt like I had to provide all the time. So in that, it means I sort of have to sort things out and figure things out all the time and be conscious of everything all the time.
Yeah.
And that,
And be the responsible person all the time. And
yes, and that seeking place, it feels like I don't have to have all of that sorted out all of the time. In fact, it was me trying to sort it all out before that made it not work.
Yeah.
It was more innocent, this more that I opened myself for something to be provided, like you said, from outside of myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm. It's hard describing something after the fact as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like trying to put into words emotions. It's like reduces the impact of the emotions.
Mm. Yeah, there's no words really.
No.
Well, I'm not a wordsmith.
No, I understand. I'm often confused about what words to use. Because it's sort of like, sometimes the more words you use, the more intellectual everybody becomes, and then it becomes further away from the goal you're trying to achieve.
I think it might help everyone to think about a time of childhood seeking or childlike seeking on any matter, because that is the nearest estimation I can make of the feeling without being too wordy.
Yeah, and I agree. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Ethan. Yeah, so it's hard, isn't it? Because the intellect is saying, I want to understand more, I want to understand more. When actually the feelings understand a lot better. But unfortunately, most of us are quite disconnected from our feelings. And so a lot of times when I'm talking to spirits, what I'm trying to do is reconnect them to their life and their experience and their feelings. And a lot of times when I'm trying to talk to you, I'm trying to do the same. Reconnect you with your life, your experience and your feelings. And also then to help you see you can have faith. But once you have real faith, you will take action based on where the desire leads you. Right? So that you could say the desire is the driving motivation to fulfill your faith.
And could you say, just trying to also put words to the feeling that Anton was showing me.
Yeah.
You know, that curiosity can lead us to a state of faith.
Yes.
It's the curiosity that opens us to the first experience.
Yeah, there's many things that lead us to faith.
Yeah.
Curiosity is one of those things. Yeah. Just you think about a child who doesn't know much at all, and any of you who have been fathers or mothers know by the time they're about 2 or 3, you're holding on to them, walking on, they're like, what's going on there, Mum? What's going on there, Dad? Like, what's happening here? Why is that? Why did you say that for? What's, like there's this constant questioning. Right? Why? It's because they're curious about everything, and they have the faith that Mummy or Daddy, even though it's often a misplaced faith, they have the faith that Mummy and Daddy might be able to answer, given the fact that they've had more experience in life, should probably be able to answer their questions. Why is the sky blue, Daddy? And most daddies go, oh, that was a long time ago, why the sky was blue. Can't remember really. But you can see that if a child, what the child does is not worried about impressing Daddy, it's not worried about getting something from Daddy, it's just interested in the whole process, right? And this is very similar to desire in a way that, faith that grows out of curiosity. You become, after a while, you realise there's possibilities. And then after a while, you realise those possibilities are yours. To exercise faith, you've got to recognise they're yours. Because otherwise you'll just think, Mary can be at one with God, but I can't. Does that make sense? While I'm thinking Mary can and I can't, I'm not going to exercise any faith because I don't believe I can. Right? Faith is like seeing all the possibilities and then coming to see that there's good results from those possibilities, and then coming to see that those possibilities are yours. They belong to you as much as to anyone else. Once you get to that point, you're now in a state where you go, I can exercise or achieve or desire something, and that thing will come. Now, how many of you have bought a house in your life? Those of you who bought a house, put your hand up. Purchased a house in your life, right? A home, yeah, a home. Yeah, probably a third of the audience. How did you do it? Like, homes are expensive. How did you even do it? You did it firstly by starting out, it's possible that I could own a home, didn't you? Because if you don't think it's possible, are you going to take the next step? No, you're not. If you don't think it's possible that you can own one, you won't take the next step. Some of you have been given a home. How many of you have been given a home by parents, like hand-me-downs type thing? A number, right? You're going to find it harder to exercise desires. And the reason why is because you've been given something before you had to exercise a desire for it.
Who hasn't bought a home because they know they have the belief like it's not possible for me?
How many of you done that? Most of them, yeah. It is. There's so many homes on earth. There's billions of them. Why can't one of them be yours? Do you know what I mean? We are often in that place where we're not in a place of faith. Our faith is going, not possible, I haven't got enough money, I don't know how to get the money, what's going on, it's all to do with money, there's all these misplaced ideas, which are all errors, they're all fear-based, that cause us to believe it's not possible for us. Right? So it's very important to understand curiosity in everything brings about a knowledge that something is possible for yourself. And once you believe it's possible for yourself, now you're starting to have some faith. That faith, if it's strong enough, will cause you to exercise a desire and take action. Right? And then the actions you take will lead you to the outcome. That's how it works. That's how life works, actually. I've just given you the secret to getting to the celestial heavens. You're not going to get there unless you desire to be there. Simple as that. You just won't ever be there. So if you don't know that it's even possible to be there, you won't get there. But let's say you do know it's possible, but you don't think that it's worthy of you, then you won't get there either. It's just a simple matter of fact that what you have faith in has to be for you. That it's a possibility for you. And once it's a possibility for you, now you will take actions that are expressions of your desire. Right? Your desire motivates these actions, that you will get there. That's how life works. Make sense? Dennis maybe, and then proceed with Philip. Down the front, is Philip.
Thanks. Just wanted to understand the emotions I was having related to Antoine. Like, can you have arrogance? So for myself, I have a lot of evidence. I have arrogance.
Yep.
But can you have at the same time low self-worth? So I also know that I'm afraid of reaching out in things I love.
Well, arrogance always comes from some sense of low self-worth, anyway. And often the people with the lowest self-worth are the most arrogant. In other words, they need to portray themselves to be knowing of things, because fundamentally they're scared of not knowing things, things like that. So yes, there can be these kind of relationships, but you need to learn how to start with the top level emotion. So if you know yourself to be arrogant, the next question is, what are you arrogant about? And then the next question after that is, well, what are you afraid of with those things? Does that make sense? The problem with arrogance is that you're very reticent to go to the what am I afraid of? Because the purpose of your arrogance is to avoid what you're afraid of. So, it's hard for a person who's arrogant to make inroads into their arrogance unless they're prepared to become more humble to their true feelings.
So, in a situation where I don't feel like reaching out, for example, for me, it can be music, can be like reaching out to you guys.
Don't want to take a risk. Yep.
So is there arrogance there? Or is just like the
a combination of factors, I would say. Certainly there's arrogance there. You are in a competition with men, and so you don't want to hear truth from a guy, from a man. And with women, you're more in a sexualized relationship with women, so you want them to mummy you, be what Mary calls a sexy mummy to you. That's really what you want from women. So you're not seeking truth, you're seeking dynamic relationship-wise. So with a woman, you're seeking a dynamic relationship-wise, and with a man, you're seeking a dynamic relationship-wise. You're not really seeking truth. The person who's seeking truth is just openly curious, right?
So that's my fear of reaching out, is because there's also that playing out. And I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, it's I'm just thinking about the best way to. Fundamentally, when you have a desire that is loving or worthy, or even that you think is loving or worthy, and you don't act on it, so say reaching out, that is a state of arrogance by definition, because you're not being humble to a feeling that you have. But when you want to hold on to, I know in this instance you were talking about arrogance as a sense of superiority or entitlement, isn't it? I think there is elements of, like we were sort of saying to Mikey, when you feel concerned about what's going to come back because you want to hold on to a perception of yourself. So you avoid the asking because you're concerned that you might receive something that might challenge your facade or your sense of who you want to believe yourself to be.
Yeah, there's a lot of people I don't want to have a relationship with. The reason why is because I either find them demanding, angry, withdrawing, hopeless, unmotivated, lacking desire, lacking passion, and I'm attracted to people who are the opposite of that, right? So when you say, why don't I, seek somebody, you've got to, I feel, question what's the motivation. Like, it feels to me that relationships that are based upon purity happen very naturally. You know what I mean? That's not something you have to strive to do or ask for necessarily. They just sort of happen spontaneously because of the, and particularly most of your relationships that you've had up until now are spontaneous addictions being met. You understand? With us, I understand that I'm not crash hot at meeting your addictions. I have no intention whatsoever to meet them. Many of you find that, like, you sort of feel that I'm sort of a bit off-putting because of that, right? But I just want to have a real relationship with people. And any addiction stops me from having one. Any addiction that I might have or you might have stops me from having one. So for me, you wouldn't have to seek a relationship with me to have one. To have a relationship with me requires that you and I have similar desires, similar passions, similar longings, and we're naturally going to meet up and we're naturally going to enjoy each other's company and we're naturally going to get things done. You know what I mean? It's not like when I meet all of you, I recognise and honour your individual passions, desires, personality and nature. But I also recognise that in amongst all of those passions, desires, personality and nature, there's often a lot of things that I find quite difficult to deal with too. Criticism, anger, judgment. Most of you judge me pretty constantly, even when I'm talking to you for 3 days after that, you're still judging me. And so there's demands and there's all sorts of things going on. And naturally I'm not drawn to people who have all of those feelings. Does that make sense? Just like I'm sure you wouldn't be drawn if there was people in your vicinity that had the same feelings with you. So a lot of times when things don't happen in a spontaneous manner, it's not because of what you choose to intellectually do. It's because of what's going on emotionally that we're not recognising. So when you say, why don't, you say you haven't sought, say, interactions with us.
Yeah, also a number of things in my life, like music, when
I agree.
admire someone.
Yeah, that's right. Many times that's because there's injuries within the person that causes them to not have a childlike seeking attitude towards those things. And arrogance is certainly one of those injuries. Like the fear of exposure, the fear of not knowing things, the fear of being exposed as not knowing things can cause a person to eventually end up quite arrogant, where they're always thinking they're better than other people and always trying to portray themselves as such, even though internally they have a lot more feelings of unworthiness or feelings that, that they don't really know what's going on.
So just if I can ask one more thing. Like then, so in that logic, the feelings I was having, they were with addictions not being met. The feelings I was just having, hearing this,
Dennis,
I don't know.
Well, you're in an addiction right
Yes.
now, actually.
Alright.
Like, if you think about what we're trying to teach this weekend, what we're trying to teach this weekend is about love, praying, desire, and sincerity and desire. Because prayer is sincere desire, sincere longing for God's love. We're trying to inspire you to show you that there's benefits to that love. But Dennis has forgotten all of that in this conversation. He's now focused his entire attention on his own injuries or on his own person. Do you see that? Every question you're asking is not about God, God's love, God's, how to develop a desire for that. Every question you're asking is about you. And most of us don't realise how self-centred we're being. Even in a conversation like this, you're actually now forcing 100 other people to hear about you. Does that make sense? And if you think about it, that's quite an unloving thing to do, if you think about it, to force a whole group of people who didn't come here to listen to Dennis. It'd be different if they did. Like if you hired this hall, paid $50 a seat, which is what it cost us to hire this hall for you, for everybody to come, and provided your time and energy and effort for free, people might come along and listen to what you've got to say. You know what I mean? They might, and particularly if they feel it's worth it. But you haven't done all of that. You've come along to something else and now expecting everybody else to listen to you. Now, this is not an attack of you, by the way. I'm just trying to illustrate that frequently we get so involved in our own problems that we can't even hear the principle that's being taught. We now have got to think, well, my problem's unique. My problem's just like for me, and I need to know about my problem, Now, what we've talked about this weekend will solve all of your problems. It's a fundamental truth that if you receive more of God's love, every single addiction you have will be ironed out, or any arrogance you have will be gone. Any other feelings that you have of insecurities you have, they'll all be gone too. You'll also enjoy the company of everyone you meet. You will feel that every interaction, where everybody expresses the same desires as you, you will want to spend more time with them. And you'll do it in a pure manner, not based on addiction. That's an automatic result of you receiving God's love. But Dennis in his mind's going, but I'm not receiving God's love, so I just want to know how to sort out this other problem. You follow? That's really what's fundamentally going on.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So
I just want to know, I can sort of see I'm arrogant, so I just want to know how to sort that out. Or perhaps my arrogance is more about my insecurities. I just want to sort that out. And what I'm saying to you, well, that's one of many of Dennis's problems. You're right. And fundamentally, it's one of many of almost everybody's problems. But if we can focus on the principle that if you can receive God's love will educate you on every issue that you can imagine. The problem is that most of you don't have faith in that yet. You believe, no, that's so going to take too long. I don't really see the benefit of all that, right? I just want to know how to fix my relationship. I just want to know how to fix my job. I just want to know how to, in other words, I just want to have a self-improvement program, is really what we're saying. And unfortunately, many of you have treated divine truth as a self-improvement program. You go, oh, here's a guy who thinks he's Jesus, but who knows? But here's a guy who's saying my emotions matter. Isn't that wonderful? I've never really heard that from anybody before. That when I talk to other people, they say, no, I don't want you to feel that emotion, don't want you to feel this emotion. And he's saying my emotion, oh, isn't that wonderful? He obviously is encouraging me to feel my emotions. Isn't that great? And I am encouraging you to feel your emotions, but not to the point of selfishness. or self-absorbedness. The purpose of it is so that you can clear away the injured emotions regarding love to the point where you're able to recognise love for what it is. That's the point of it. Right? It's not about, we're not trying to help you improve personally. What we're trying to do is help you have a desire to have more love, right? And not just have a desire to have more love, but to be more loving, more importantly. Because if I come here with a desire to have more love, and Mary comes here with a desire to have more love, and you all come here to have more love, who's going to give us the love? We're going to be all wanting more love, and nobody's prepared to give any. You understand? Right? So what really needs to happen is I go forget about being loved more, and what I need to do is I need to learn how to love more myself. And then if I love more, then naturally that's going to attract probably more loving events in my life. Yeah? So, yes, each of you, when you raise personal issues, we can acknowledge, yes, you've done some thought about that. Yes, you do have that particular issue, or sometimes we say you don't, like we just did with Mickey and Mikey. But whatever we say, the purpose of our conversation with you is not about trying to help you become more self-absorbed about how you feel. It's actually to help you become more loving. That's the purpose for being here. You follow? Yeah. Very important that you understand that. That's our reason for coming to Portugal. That's our reason for doing these trips. Is just to give people the information, the education they need to desire to become more loving. And in England, remember I said to the group there, and those of you who might not be there, what I said to them was this. Every single problem you personally have, and every single problem the world has, is a direct result of the fact we're not loving enough. It's the direct result. There's no, mystical, filamental, wavy force that causes it. It's the direct result of the fact that we personally have not yet learned how to express love. And as I said to the group in England, the only person who's going to be able to show us what love is the person who loves. And the person who loves the most is God. The soul who loves the most is God. So that is the reason for the relationship with God, so God can show us what love is. Because every problem we have is about love. So, people often come to us and say, oh, we need to have a private session with you to talk about my personal problem about this and that. And I go, why? We don't need a private session with anybody. Every problem you have is about love, where you're not seeing or feeling or understanding love and not living in a state of love. What we need to do instead is have education about what love is and what it isn't, and what love does and what love does not do,
How to get love,
how to receive love from God, and then everything will be ironed out. All of your problems. Every single problem. Every single problem you face.
Could you define love for us?
And can I not have people yell at me from the audience? Is that... Yeah. So, we've talked about love yesterday, and I don't think you were here. That's right. So, I can't go back to yesterday, and that's the drawback of not being here the whole time. So, but I would like to say that every single problem we face is dependent upon us being more loving people. So if we can learn how to become more loving people, then every single thing that happens would be resolved in our life. Every single negative event in our life would be sorted out by the love we have. And this is so, so important to grasp. Love is practical. love is practical. When we talk about love, people often think, oh, here we go. It's all about love. It's all just so unspecific. It's not. It's practical. It's going to change everything to do with your life, one way or another. Does that make sense? So it's important to understand that receiving God's love is going to make you a more practical person with practical solutions that actually work, that actually means that you'll understand things better. Once you understand how love works, how it flows, what inhibits its flow, what inhibits the exchange of love between people, once you understand the dynamics of love, it's going to solve your whole life problems. Right? And the best way to understand it is by getting someone who's perfect in it, God, your daddy, your mommy, God, and asking them to show you what love is. Because once they show you what love is, you'll know what it is. You'll feel what it is. Not just know what it is in your mind, but feel what it is. And that's the key, is learning that. And what we're trying to do and share with you in this trip is how to have the very first experiences you need to have to receive some, so you start to grasp how to do that. Does that make sense? Yeah. Rather than, so every time you raise a personal issue, I've got this problem or that problem, so earlier it was Mikey who raised an issue, and yesterday Dijon raised the issue, remember yesterday? Every time you're doing that, you're ignoring one thing. You're ignoring the fact that love's going to solve all your problems. And the biggest issue you need to resolve is coming to understand what it is. And the biggest way to understand what it is by receiving some, so you know. Like, I've had conversations in the spirit world in particular with people in the sixth sphere who are very, very intellectually oriented in their minds. And we go to universities there like this, but there's like thousands of people, not just a few. And in there we have conversations about what love is. Well, I can talk for 3 hours there about what love is, and everybody walks away not understanding a single thing I said. Mostly because they don't want to try an experiment and find out from God what love is. And most of the time I find myself trying to convince them to just try the experiment of the fact that God wants to love you, and just try the experiment of receiving some. Does that make sense? No, Dijon, no. Not going to do that. So I would like you to contemplate that in our break. We're just going to have a break now. What's the time? Yeah, we'll have a short break now for 10 minutes, can we? I think bladders and everything need to be relieved.
They do. They do.
Yeah.
I know. I just wanted to wrap up from the conversation with Anton. Yes. Yeah. So if we reflect on the conversation with him, there was 2 elements to what created his change. He had to change his state inside of himself to be a sincere desire. And a part of what helped him do that was to change his conception of God. So as you guys remember, the theme of this weekend is all about prayer, which is about prayer is only ever between you and God personally. So as you engage with this experiment of prayer, and we'll talk more about prayer after the break,
yep.
But it's important to allow that experiment, to allow that sort of seeking out of God, to help expose in you your issues with sincerity and longing, but also your misconceptions about God. It will show you, if you engage with that sincerely, it will start to reveal to you what you already believe God is. And
not only misconceptions about God, but your misconceptions about every one of God's personality traits,
yes.
Like love, kindness, compassion, understanding, mercy. It's going to show you misconceptions in every area about all of God's attributes. You'll get to know God in the process.
Yes. And you'll get to know what you think God should be, or what you think God already should be in all of those areas.
Versus what he really is.
Versus what God really is. So, yeah. Let's have a break.